Okay. I don't know that there's a solution there, but it's kind of amusing. Okay. This makes me feel a little bit sad if I'm honest. Love it. So, this is different people doing things that they are good at. I largely do agree with this. This is a good and helpful response in my view. I have to say that's quite uncommon and you are incredibly lucky. Okay, I don't know whether that's going to be helpful in some ways. Today's Reddit question: ADHD entrepreneurs, how do you stay on top of everything? I'm newly diagnosed, and luckily, one of my typical hyperfocuses is being very organized and sticking to my to-do list. I have to say that's quite uncommon, and you are incredibly lucky. My struggle is in getting things off the ground. I have ideas, I know what to do when it gets rolling, but moving from idea to actually getting something new going is where I sit for ages. Imposter syndrome sets in, and I really struggle talking about myself and my business to people, even if they're interested. For those of you who struggle with organization, how do you manage the day-to-day and larger projects in your business? What do you struggle with the most and hate doing, or just plain old put it off until it's absolutely critical? And for those of you who have overcome your biggest challenges, how did you do that? So ADHD is very unique, and I didn't mention this is quite unusual to have a hyperfocus that's staying organized and sticking to to-do lists. I do wonder a little bit whether that's masking. Not sure, would be very interested to understand more about that. Getting things off the ground, have ideas, know what to do when it gets rolling, but moving from an idea stage to actually getting something going as well for ages. Okay, all right. So this person's struggling definitely with issues around task initiation, which can be down to not breaking tasks into two pieces where you do the planning and then do the actual execution. But often we'll try and keep everything in their heads to just kind of keep going. Okay, let's see what comments we've got. Lots of notes and 200 open tabs on Chrome. Okay, I don't know whether that's going to be helpful in some ways. Lots of notes. I mean, ADHD people don't organize ourselves well often, although this person seems to. 200 open tabs on Chrome, that's just overwhelming. I don't know whether I agree with that. I have to say I've had 728 on Safari and 934 on Chrome. They're down from 1,000 each. Don't ask how. I feel like I have squirrel brain, where I have 1,000 things on my mind and none at all. I have everything from school related, family related, mainly stuff to help my mom, recipes, shopping projects I like to do, etc. I wish I hadn't had so much on the brain, but I do. Hey, let's deal with this. So having 200 to 1,000 open tabs on Chrome, that's enormously overwhelming for ADHD brains, and we distract ourselves. So distraction is a big problem for ADHD people, but a large part of the distraction is how we distract ourselves. So having a nice clean environment can help, but also when you see 30,000 emails, which is something I see very regularly in clients that are unopened, or you see, hundreds of tabs, it's very difficult to focus on any one thing at all. And for ADHD people, it's normally best to focus on one or two things at once. You can't do that if you feel like you've got a million things on your list. So it's normally important to start hiding some of these things. It might be that you have a list where you put one thing on a page and you say, what's one thing I'm going to do? And maybe it's a notebook and you've got different pages, and you decide which one you're going to do and you leave that open. That's the thing you're going to be working on. So yeah, it can be really crazy to have so many. Okay, next one. The best thing you can do is to try and focus on treating your ADHD as a whole instead of trying to treat individual symptoms. Stop trying to make order out of chaos and instead try to find ways to quiet the chaos brain. Interesting. I spent years looking for systems to stay on top of things, manage to do lists, down trap systems to prevent procrastination, only to quickly abandon any said system for the promise of something new. Once I started focusing on my issue, my attention disorder, rather than say my poor time management, the stemming issues started to improve. Okay, I largely do agree with this. This is a good and helpful response in my view. Yes, ADHD, many of us struggle with attention and we want novelty, we want something new. And this person has moved away from the fact that they're trying to become organized and moved into trying to solve the problem of attention. And that is probably going to be effective for most people, at least as a partial solution. I think there still needs to be an element of how to manage your life. And for some people, that means deciding to do a business that isn't the one they were originally thinking of doing. Maybe, this particular business requires a lot of organization, and that might be a bad idea for them. So yeah, there's some good stuff in here. Okay, next one. One way is to find your anchor. When I was in my early 20s, I literally felt my ADHD go away when I was religious with sleep, non-negotiable. This led to the next dominoes to fall into place: mandatory meditation for up to 1 hour at my peaks, sometimes twice a day. No phones, no social, no nothing till this was done. Movement and exercise, rode my bike. Okay, I get the point. So being very regimented. I can understand where this person's coming from, and I think it is worth a try. But I don't think it would work for every ADHD person. I think some people might struggle enormously with being that disciplined. However, there is no doubt that reducing or removing distractions is a positive thing, and it's one of the reasons that sometimes if I've got something to do, something serious to do, like I've got to design a web page for myself or something like that, I might get up almost in the middle of the night at say 5 a.m. and do it then, because I know I'm not going to get any distractions at all. I'll get 4 good hours worth of work done. I don't know that I want a life which is this regimented, being very specific with absolutely everything. But I'm different, and one of the key points with ADHD is that you've really got to treat yourself as yourself and try people's things out, try people's ideas out, but if it doesn't work for you, accept it doesn't work for you, but maybe give it a week and see what you really feel about, because there can be a lot of resistance to change in those early days. Okay, next one. I hire an assistant to aid my weak points. I simply stopped trying to organize at all and outsourced the entire task. Now my ad is only a strength because it has endowed me with excellent creativity and problem-solving skills. Love it. So this is different people doing things that they are good at. For ADHD people, I mean, it's like we seem to believe somehow that we're going to be amazingly organized, and it's like asking fish to climb trees. No, pick a monkey for that. Fish swim in the water and they're really good at it. You don't need to try and convince yourself to be better at things that you're not going to be good at. So, I have VAs, I have people who I work with, a team that I work with in both of my businesses, and they make up for my weaknesses. And I unapologetically explain to them what those are. There's nothing shameful about it. I make my impact on my businesses in completely different ways, and that's what this person's saying as well. They have excellent creativity and problem solving, leading to innovation, which is where so many businesses will succeed. And one last positive one, my super wife, she takes care of the strain when she knows it's too much. She pokes me to refocus when I lose interest. For example, we're starting another company for an idea I got the ball rolling, got the basics of that company to start, and then lost interest. So she started researching different things I need to do for that company, passing regulations, etc. So basically this is similar to the previous one, really. You're using someone else for their skills and their qualities. Okay, let's see what we've got. Coffee and aggression and a strong will to survive. Fight. Okay, I don't know that there's a solution there, but it's kind of amusing. Okay, what next? I think of someone that I know that doesn't have ADHD and do what they would do. Okay, this makes me feel a little bit sad, if I'm honest. The person seems to believe that their ADHD makes them somehow less than other people and that they have to be someone that they're not. My view generally with ADHD is that, you should use it for its strengths, not focus on its weaknesses. And that generally will lead to success much more often than trying to be something you're not. Now, If you can, I suppose that's okay, but for most people, this will lead to exhaustion and burnout at some point. You might get away with it for a decade or maybe two, but eventually this will start to trip you up and you'll hate your life, hate your work, and just eventually become really burned out and exhausted. So I would recommend instead that people focus on their ADHD strengths rather than trying to not be ADHD. And if you are trying to get things done, which neurotypical people would find easy, the most important thing is finding an ADHD friendly way of doing it. So I hope that was interesting. The responses were quite mixed, I would say. There were plenty of positives and some really good comments in there, some really good thoughts about focusing on yourself, and also one or two which, maybe were a little bit less positive in terms of ADHD. Catch you in the next one.